Hey, ladies, welcome to Unpacking Mama's Bag, the podcast where we unzip the chaos, shake out the crumbs, laugh at the crazy, and pray through the rest. I'm your host, Akia Adams, just another mother out here trying to raise babies, hold down a marriage, chase my purpose, and not lose my mind in the school pickup line. This space right here is just for the mothers out there who are carrying it all, from diapers to doubt, lipstick, laundry lists, and the silent prayers you don't even have the words for. We're going to talk about marriage, motherhood, meltdowns, and we're going to do it with honesty, some humor, and a whole lot of grace. So if you ever cried in the shower, or hid in the pantry with snacks, or said, Lord, help me at least 3 times before noon, then girl, you're in the right place. So grab yourself some tea or a glass of wine, and let's unpack this bag. We're going to heal and grow all together. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Unpacking Mama's Bag. I am your host, Akia Adams, and today I'm here with Lara. Hi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And thank you for being a guest on here. I'm so glad you were able to come on. So we're just going to just start by just basically finding out who and what is in your mama's bag.
So in my bag, in my
Mhm.
bag of things is a lot of tools and truth and presence
Mhm.
and truthfully I now help others parent from truth and not trauma. So I have a beautiful daughter and it's been a journey learning to parent from truth and not my trauma.
Oh, all right. A lovely daughter. Great. So let's start by tell me something that you carry that you haven't really told anyone about.
I think up until now, my daughter is 6 and I've been in a hermit tunnel for, the last 5, 6 years on my own healing journey. And one of the biggest things that I haven't really shared with friends, family, and community is how much unraveling I've had to do for my own healing in order to show up to be a more present, conscious parent. And so I guess I truly have not had parenting figured out. And I know that everyone is sort of like learning as they go and on the fly,
Mhm.
we're sort of, but um, I think, well, I know that some of my behavior at the beginning of parenting traumatized my daughter more as I was projecting a lot of my own fears and my own stories and, my own experiences. And so really I've been able to take that a full 180, but it wasn't something that came naturally to me,
Right.
parenting. And there's a lot of my own behavior and my actions that now I'm able to correct and show up entirely differently for my daughter.
Okay. So you spoke a lot about some trauma you experienced. Have you ever felt like walking away from motherhood at any moment, like when your daughter was first born? Because you talk about the trauma, so you just
Yeah.
haven't felt like this is not for me. Maybe I'm over my head.
No, it was more that I was living in an illusion that I thought I knew what I was doing and
Okay. Okay.
closed off to the
Okay.
possibility that I wasn't doing what I say I
Understandable.
was doing. So like a lot was like, there's a lot in my journey of my own healing and motherhood that I've, had to really look at, well, what does it mean to not perform? What does it mean to love with no conditions? What does it actually look like? And all these large concepts, I really haven't didn't get the opportunity to experience that.
Mhm.
And so, there's a lot of things that I wasn't even consciously aware that I was doing. Now I have that awareness upon reflection, but at the beginning, I thought I was doing everything I could when in
Oh,
reality I wasn't. So that yeah, it was more of it's a shift and change in my own awareness and perception.
Okay. So in shifting, like, what was one of the hardest things that you had to survive while showing up for your daughter?
My own healing and awareness. I feel like, she was a catalyst for a lot of my healing. And when I say a catalyst is when you have a daughter and when you have children, and specifically when you have a daughter, if you're a woman, you
Mhm.
see yourself in that
Yes.
little human
Yes.
being.
Yes.
And so it triggers a lot of things for you that you didn't even know you had to work on.
Hmm.
And in the 5 years or 6 years that she's been Earthside, on this realm, I went through, leaving a corporate career and building a business and going through a divorce and then, the pandemic and then
Hmm.
like, all the other things, physical injuries. And so there's been like a lot jam packed in her 6 years of life that I've
Hmm.
navigated through with her in tow. And through each one, she's been a catalyst of, okay, from body image dysmorphia to like, it's like, well, what does that look like for me? How am I showing up for
Right.
me? How am I going to neutralize it for her? What does it mean to be loved the way that you want to be loved? What does unconditional love look like? I had to learn that and figure out my self-worth and my self-value to understand how I was leading her, how I was parenting. So
Right.
like, like there's a lot that she was always the catalyst because a lot of times when we're we're programmed and we live in a very entitled narcissistic type of society, and
Yes.
so it's very humbling to go through life and have to, I mean, I have the self-awareness now, but I didn't have that self-awareness before. Like all those things. When it's yourself,
Hmm.
you don't give it as much value because you're
Right.
so conditioned to numb, to avoid, to detach, like as adults. But the reality is, I can't do that with her. Like, when it comes to her, it's like, well, what's your reason for living?
Hmm.
It's easier to put it outside of yourself and it's for them as opposed to for yourself. Through the journey, I have to learn that it's just as equally important for me as it is for her. But it was a lot easier when I was thinking about my own behavior and how my behavior affected different things,
Hmm.
my own lack of self-care and self-worth at the end of the day would leave her abandoned. So
Yes.
it was like, she was the motivational piece for me to get a good grasp on why I am the way that I am. And so,
Mhm.
like, that was when I say that she was the catalyst, is understanding when you put it into, oh my gosh, I don't want to not be there for her, or,
Right.
I don't want her to learn these things, or I don't want her to spend her entire life, going through body dysmorphia or whatever the case is. Like the big things
Uh-huh.
that I struggled with lifelong,
Right.
not just within the past, 6 years, having the awareness that I was like leading and molding and can also neutralize her little mind was like the biggest motivation for me
Hmm.
to finally take action steps and embody what I was learning and what I was healing through, because it's a lot different conceptually knowing those things, but not actually like pulling the thread through and like understanding it and internalizing it. And so that she was a big motivational piece in my own unraveling, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I can clearly understand what you're talking about. I have a daughter too, so I definitely understanding what it feels like to have the little mini me running around and making sure that you are your best you, so that she can see this and emulate it as she grows. So, what was like the biggest lesson that your child has taught you, that your daughter has taught you during this whole mom journey?
what it means to love with no conditions. Like that is like,
All right.
that
Loving
is,
with no condition. That's great. That's a big thing. And it's good that we're showing up and she's been able to see that love, even though you've had the trauma, even though you dealt with the body morphia and stuff like that, that she's still in that, hey, I don't understand what's going on, but I know mommy loves me.
yeah.
So that I love that. So how do you find your peace like in the midst of all the pressure and everything that you're doing in that do it all moment? How do you find your peace?
I mean, like, I think it's very important for us to give ourselves grace. Like, I truly
Mhm.
think grace and compassion is a huge component of it.
Mhm.
But I think the biggest shift in finding that peace was learning to regulate my own nervous system.
Okay.
So, for me to not be in fight or flight and not in like direct reaction mode was
Mhm.
so imperative. And
Okay.
so, when it comes to fight or flight or nervous system regulation, whatever you want to call it, like pausing, not reacting, being
Mhm.
very, and when I say conscious parenting and mindful parenting, it's like, no, 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 like you, we are so quick to react. We are so quick to be a firefighter and, come up with the
Yes.
solution. And, taking moments to pause and, once again, taking accountability for your actions. So
Mhm.
if you do react, it's being truthful with your child so that they can understand your reaction and you're taking
Mhm.
accountability for your reaction, or if you overstepped or if you, spazzed out or whatever the case is. Like it's important for you to also hold yourself accountable and acknowledge that. So
Mhm.
sometimes too, once again, we're all learning. It's not something that,
Exactly.
and that's okay, but it's not okay to, and this is in life, this isn't just us parenting.
Right.
You can be hurt, but that doesn't mean, and you could be angry and you could be freaking out about something else, does not give
Mhm.
you the permission to beat someone else up and does
Correct.
not give you the permission to project. And as parents, it's very important for us to rein it in and and not to the point that they aren't aware of what mommy's going through, but when you can give context to it and claim
Mhm.
what's going on for you, saying mommy needs this, so this is why I need a clean space at the moment. It's no longer that they have to tidy up in this. It's like, no, no, no. For my what I'm dealing with at the moment, I need to control something. And so what I can control is a clean environment. And so that's what we're going to focus on. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's claiming what I'm going through in that moment so she doesn't internalize that it's something that she's done. It's
Right.
me taking ownership of what's going on for me. And I think even from a emotional regulation and nervous system, I mean, yeah, journaling, warm showers, like the power of a
Mhm.
mom shower is like a huge thing to like,
Yeah.
detach or change your environment, let it go, like we're, many of us are superheroes when it comes to that, like in and out in 5 minutes and I'm a new person. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I don't need a long time. I just need a moment.
Just a few minutes.
So to allow yourself that space,
Mhm.
and to hold yourself with deep compassion is something that I think is very, very helpful. But what, like I said, it's very important to not project and
Mhm.
also to remember that your child's story is not your story, right?
Right.
Like they
Right.
come in all knowing, all loving, like they come in, it's us who programs the, the chaos and the anxiety and the fear into them, not them. So I think it's very, very important as well to consciously be aware of your actions and what you're doing. And once again, we are going to inevitably traumatize our children, and our children are going to experience trauma. Our job as a
Mhm.
parent is to take accountability for the things that we inflict, as well
Mhm.
as neutralize what happens. So it's, being aware, asking the right questions, not once again, not punishing a child for their reactions because their reactions are their only reactions that they've learned from you, right? Like
Exactly.
there's no, right? Like if a child is not able to regulate themselves, that's because you haven't shown them the way, right? And so
Exactly.
many times we get frustrated, but it's
Mhm.
really that's on us. So, a lot of times even understanding that a child is a child and not an adult and doesn't have the same fears, and knowing that you have, like, it is a huge mental awakening, and sometimes a trip to realize that, right, like they are a direct reflection of what information I have fed them. So it's like it's really being mindful of not getting upset at them, but really look at your behavior, your actions, your moods, right? Like it's
Mhm.
just like an animal. They can sense when you're nervous. They can sense when
Right.
you're
They sure
right.
can.
Like it's a,
Yes,
it's
they
a, it's the
absolutely.
same thing, right? And
Right.
children are so all knowing. Like they truly come in all knowing. And so um I think, we always say, like she leads the way, and she really does, because she is the embodiment of whatever we're going through outside of us to visually see it, right? Like
Right.
she is what, like, you might not notice it for yourself, but chances are if she's struggling, either it's coming for you in the next couple days when you're actually embodying it, but it's a direct reflection of sort of where you're going through energetically. and
Mhm.
and especially when you do have a daughter, I mean, your cycles sync and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
So,
my
like, you know what I
goodness.
mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it's when you have so much more of an awareness for yourself, you can see it in your child, and you can sort of witness that. And like I said, it's walking her through those things,
Mhm.
and learning to love with no conditions, no judgment, no shame, no guilt, no performance. There's no pleasing. It's truly being able to have that safe space for them. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a journey.
All right. So in that journey, like, what is your go-to self-care thing? What do you do to keep you together? What's your self-care thing? Your
The
routine?
mom shower for sure.
The mom
Like
shower.
the mom
Okay.
shower. And I say it's the mom shower because it doesn't need to be a full shave. Even though I could do an everything shower within four
Uh,
minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, like it truly, you know, once again, we teach them how to, that self-love, self-worth,
mhm.
self-value was something that I did not have innately. It just, I thought I did. I thought I was nurturing. I thought I always wanted to be a mom, like, and then
Mhm.
when I actually was given the opportunity to be in the role,
Mhm.
it was an adjustment. And so like the making sure that you're eating, making sure, like, knowing how much protein. And when I say knowing how much protein, it's just like, no, like how to fill the belly, like how to, like how to, love food, how to have good relationships. Like it's all those things when it comes to simple acts of self-care and self-love. It's like,
Mhm.
one of the wildest things for me was just like when you come in the entryway and there's shoes everywhere. And I had shoes, like they weren't in piles, but they weren't tidy or put away in the closet or in a shoe basket. And one day I was sort of called out on it, and it was just like, well, Lara, if you don't put away your shoes, in case of an emergency, you could trip over it, hit your head on the garage door, pass yourself out, and then you're not there to serve anyone. Like you're no good, you're
Right.
no good to. And so I realized that so many of my actions weren't based with the vision of taking care of myself. And so, when it comes to not just making sure that you're fueling your body and you're
Mhm.
making sure that you're sleeping and, all that kind of stuff, it's like, it's also acknowledging, no, like when you're tired, let's have a rest day without feeling guilty. Like we don't have to do a
Right.
million
Exactly.
activities. You don't want to
Mhm.
do it, you don't need to do it. And I mean, there's things as a parent you still need to encourage them to get over their, comfort bubbles and all that kind of stuff. But truly, I did not. I did not embody self-care and self-love and self-worth and self-value. And so now I can lead her by living that, you know what I mean? But
Uh,
it's a conscious thing every day being like, right. So she has the awareness now of, right, I've had too much sugar today. I need
uh-huh,
some real food, or you know what I mean? Like, so she
uh-huh.
has the awareness now of also being mindful of herself, of her emotions, of when she needs quiet time. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, or
right.
so, but I don't think, we're just on autopilot most of the time, and we don't even realize that we're not doing all those things. Like, we think that we're surviving and taking
Uh-huh,
care of ourselves, but we're just doing it
uh-huh.
literally on the edge of our seats and flying by the seat of our pants. And,
Right.
once again, that is life, and that's the roller coaster of life. But I think it's very, very important to just take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
even for safety. It's like, don't go outside with your dog if you don't have your phone. God forbid something that were to happen and you have
Right.
no, like, if you're on your own or you're single and all that kind of stuff, like, you have to take so many more steps for the what ifs. And that's not
Mm-hmm.
saying that you can't move and you're always paranoid about, the worst case scenario, but it's very important to be mindful of all those little acts of self-care, like, to make sure
Right.
that you also can teach your children how to take care of themselves at the same time, and they learn that by seeing you take care of you and you take care of them. So and it has to be led, right? Like, you could say, eat
Exactly.
your vegetables, and you never eat your vegetables. Or you can say, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
you need to sleep. And they're like, well, you stay up all night. So it's like, like, it's truly, it's an embodied thing. And
Mm-hmm.
children follow the leader, like, in the sense. And so, and that's our job. That is our truthfully our job as parents, is to lead, but lead by and actually embodying it, not lead by dictation, sort of thing.
Right. Because kids will call you out, especially your kids. They will definitely call you out when it's something you're not doing right.
Yeah.
And because, and my family, their faves were saying, do as I say and not as I do. But we really can't do that. Because if I'm telling you to do something and I'm not doing it, then it's absolutely wrong. So
Well,
let
because
me
there's
ask you
no weight to it. There's not
exactly.
that understanding.
So then they're looking at you like, how can I take you seriously if what you're saying you're not even following? So let me ask you this question. What is something that you want to teach your daughter that you were not taught growing up?
Hmm.
That you wish someone would have taught you, but you know in the back of your mind, I need to make sure my daughter knows this as she grows up.
That it's safe to receive, I think.
Mm, okay.
I mean, there's so many different things. And once again, at what point did I learn that it wasn't? I'm not quite sure. And when I
Mhm,
say, when did I learn it was not safe? I internalized as and this is actually a recent awareness, like,
mhm,
last month and a half, like, in,
okay.
in that sense. I learned that what was always attached to receiving was that there was some sort of payback.
Oh.
So if someone did something for me, I would have to do something for them in return. So everything was on condition of some sort, right? And
Mhm,
so whether that was time, whether it was energy, whether that was your body, whatever the case was, I always there was such a resistance to receiving, because receiving always meant that I had to then give, or there was an IOU, or there was, a debt to be settled. And so that has been a huge wound that I've been able to navigate and heal through, and having the awareness that you can receive without any debt, in that
mhm,
sense. emotionally, financially, physically, all of the above. So would be a huge thing because I ended up living my life in my wounded feminine or, masculine energy,
Mm-hmm.
driving, all that kind of stuff. And so if I could, continue to teach her to do that, or there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
attached to that, hopefully she could stay in her feminine and continue flowing through life. So that is what
Okay.
I'm aiming to do,
All right.
what I'm going to embody the best that I can.
As best as you can. So let me ask you, what is one thing that your daughter does that makes you question everything, but at the same time makes you super proud?
I love how she loves to be herself and has embraced herself. And so
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, going through school and that 4, 5, and 6, and as
Mm-hmm.
she's expanding and becoming her own little person, she also, I'm proud that she can recognize that there's differences, but
Mm-hmm.
she's embraced of who she is. So there's no need, because we continue to neutralize that there's no need to perform.
Mm-hmm.
She can be authentically herself, and she doesn't think that she's an outcast. She just thinks she's her.
I
So I
love
love
it.
that.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love when a child is very comfortable and to be unapologetically them
Yeah.
without any words. I just love children and that whole atmosphere, just how they act and just watching them interact with each other. Like there's there's no preconceptions, there's no fears, there's no nothing. They just, hey, I'm here, let's play. I love the energy that they give. It's so amazing. So what would be one thing that you would want to tell another mother that is just starting off in her journey?
Every time that she gets frustrated with the child, she needs to look at what it is for her. I think that so many times,
That's a good
I think that is like a great door opener,
one.
because it's not, I'll even go through sleep training or anything like that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is your belief around sleep training? What is the importance for you? Not just
Mm-hmm.
what you've read and what you've learned, but when you're triggered, when you're upset, when you're frustrated, is that what does that actually, pull it in for yourself? Like, what does
Mm-hmm.
that say about you as a person? Where is
Right.
the guilt and shame and judgment, the self-judgment that you're taking on at the moment? Because, so many times we say, oh, well, we put it on the other person, we put it externally from us, but when we hold the awareness that it's all starts within. What is that about for you? Where's the frustration?
Right.
Where's the anger? Where's the shame? Where's the guilt? Like, so what if she doesn't? What does that mean about you? Even to the point when she was getting old enough, like when and do activities, and I didn't have her in 100 activities at the very beginning. And it was just like, well, what's that about? Like, why does your child need to be in so many activities? And for
Exactly.
me, I said, well, she's not into this, or blah, 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 blah. Well, no, it has nothing to do. What's it about for you? Like, what's the guilt and the shame about for you? Like, why do you have to explain this? So, like, there's so many things, and especially like, the
Hmm.
mom guilt is a real thing. Like, it's not,
It
but
is.
what about that does it say about you? Right? The guilt and shame and the judgment, that's on you. So what is that about for you, not about the child? So it's like
Hmm.
every single time that something happens, what does that mean about you? And it's to unravel that first. Then parenting comes really naturally and innately
Hmm.
once you get out of your own way. I think That's, like what, we're animalistic creatures. We do things naturally. We cry,
Hmm.
like everything that we do is so primal, and we forget that. Like we're so taught so many different other things. Like,
Hmm.
we're animals, we're primal. It's like, like once you get out of your own head and out of your own way, it
Hmm.
like completely opens up things for you to be at more ease as a parent and as a mother.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. I love the self-reflection. That's a good point. Reflecting on yourself, figuring out what it is that you have to deal with before projecting it onto you. I love that. That's a good point. So I appreciate you and your honesty. I love your comments and your feedback today. How can someone get in contact with you if they wanted to speak to you more about your parenting style and about your tips that you gave today?
So you can find me via my website, so www.larabokovay.com, or you
Mhm.
just Google me. There's just one of me, and through that, I do one-on-one coaching, I do group coaching, and I also
Mhm.
do intuitive work as well. So, I do have a group coaching container that is
Oh.
called Parenting from Truth to help
Mhm.
mothers on their journey. But the best way to connect with me is through my website.
Okay. So, everyone, I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Unpacking Mama's Bag. And I look forward to meeting with you all again. Stay lovely, moms.